I always was dealing with health issues. They were always very mysterious. And I noticed that I was attracting clients that were having issues in their home, whether it was mold toxicity or multiple chemical sensitivity. And I noticed that when I was in those environments, even just on the job site in the construction zone, that I would start to feel worse. And so I kind of put two and two together. And I'm like, wow, the home really does affect our health and well-being, not only energetically, but actually with the physical components in the home.
Hello, Brave Table fam. Welcome to another episode of The Brave Table. I'm your host, Dr. Neeta, and this is your destination, your oasis to be all things just a little bit more brave in your actions, in your relationships, and in your life. And today, I have a question for you. Have you ever thought about the energetics or the psychology behind your personal space? Behind how you decorate your most prized, most sacred areas in your home, where you do business, where you work, where you corral people, where you invite community, where you make love. This episode is for you. If you've ever or not ever thought about that, this is all about the psychology of interior design and how your inner world really reflects your outer world, and the psychology of what design could also mean for conscious living and even more intentional living. And I found and met the most incredible woman, of course, at an event, and we were chatting it up, and it was so juicy that I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never ever thought about the psychology behind design and how we design our home spaces. And I have to tell you about her because she is phenomenal. Her name is Kristin Kilmer, and she's an eco lifestyle designer, an intuitive channel, a wellness expert, and she's founder of Kristin Kilmer Design, where she merges both sustainable design with holistic wellness to create spaces that really transform the mind, the body, and the spirit. Known for her eco-conscious ethos around the globe, globally, Kristin combines biophilic design, environmentally friendly, responsible materials, and wellness spaces to foster healthier, more balanced living spaces. With a background in psychology and interior design, she's pioneered a unique approach that focuses on aligning our living environments with nature and well-being. Now, in this episode today, we are going to go into what the elements and why the elements are so important when we are considering design spaces, her own personal journey of Lyme disease, and the beginnings of what began her journey into deepening her spiritual practice and bringing it into the flow with her clients. And you're going to learn so much more about what your space is saying about you and how you can actually begin to change that in all aspects of your life. You're going to get so much value out of this. I think you're going to share this one because she is one to definitely listen to. So without further ado, let's welcome Kristin to the Brave Table this week.
Thank you so much. I am so humbled by your introduction.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm so glad we are talking about this. Tell us, I want to start by kind of unpacking what got you into this intersection of this work, and primarily even, going back to your own bout with Lyme disease.
It's been quite a journey indeed. I've always been I'm a Libra, so I've always been in love with inner and outer beauty. I've always considered myself an asset. My father was a contractor. He was an immigrant from Hungary, and so I was privileged enough to go to Spain for design school. I've always loved the European aesthetic. I remember being a kid and, directing the choir with him at my own room, but also restoring my own furniture at a very young age. And after design school, I went back to California. Parallel to that, I always was dealing with health issues. They were always very mysterious. And I noticed that I was, like attracts like, and I was attracting clients that were having issues in their home, whether it was mold toxicity or multiple chemical sensitivity. And I noticed that when I was in those environments, even, just on the job site in the construction zone, that I would start to feel worse. And so I kind of put two and two together, and I'm like, wow, the home really does affect our health and well-being, not only energetically, but actually with the physical components in the home. And so I started to kind of deep dive into this journey. I was privileged enough to be selected to be the designer for the TED conference. They were installing a prefab modular LEED Platinum Sustainable Home. And I had asked them to see the photos before, of the photo of the home before it was craned in, because it was like modularly craned in. And they showed it to me at a builder show in Vegas. And I looked at the furniture and I thought, there's something incongruent here. You've got these beautiful, non-toxic finishes as far as like recycled glass tile. There was no lead. They had energy efficient appliances and lighting. And then they put in this furniture that was, I could just off-gassing, and paint that was made of plastics. And I thought, this is a real disconnect. And so I was able to join together a lot of sponsors that were more on the route of the non-toxicity in the home rather than just the energy efficiency. And then the house was sold, and I was able to bring in my own vendors and redesign it in like the most healthiest format that I could possibly think of. So that really kind of got me on the journey. And also during that time, like greenwashing was really popular, right?
Ooh,
So
what's that?
well, everyone thought, oh, green and sustainability is such a good movement, I'm going to hop on it.
Right.
And so I'm not going to name names, but there were companies that called them, they had names like environment this, and it turned out that they were, taking
They were toxic.
furniture from Brazil, shipping it to Thailand, getting it sprayed, bringing it over. And so it just wasn't, really in alignment. And so
Or eco-friendly.
yeah. And, I do believe, I think sustainability is about bringing it into a community, and I'll forego the carbon footprint and sometimes buy furniture or other goods from a cooperative in Mexico if it's feeding educational systems and things like that. So that to me is part of the sustainable movement, but it's just a real case by case basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And so, when you were healing from Lyme disease, what did you recognize, and what were some of the things perhaps that you did for yourself that you now use in kind of the way that you work with clients?
Oh my gosh, that's an endless list. I did have to stop design for a while, and I left and I went to become, I always say the first thing is you have to be your own best health advocate in all areas of your life. Unfortunately, the American medical system and many medical systems are broken, as you probably know yourself. And so I dropped out of design for a while, and I became a holistic health coach.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so and then alongside of that, that's when I also started studying energy medicine and medical intuition, because, mind, body, spirit, I realized was all correlated. And the more I learned, the more I realized that and I didn't want to be doom and gloom about it, but it's good to be informed and not inundated. So I realized that there's so many endocrine disruptors in the home, things that contain xenoestrogens, and so many things that really can disrupt our microbiome as well as our whole energy field. And so I started really bringing those into the home as well, because like I said, it's great to use sustainable and renewable resources. But like, for example, a lot of where I kind of differ from passive housing is they love to use LEDs, and they have their time and place. Like, this is a time to actually use them because you want to have the bright blue light of the sun to keep you awake.
Right.
But at night, you want to really maintain your circadian rhythm. You want to, continue melatonin production. And if you have all that blue light at night, that actually can hit the hypothalamus. It can, affect the thymus and the thyroid. And it can also prevent, healthy sleep. So you want to dim those down at night. You want to have more red or amber lights. I prefer no LEDs at night because they do flicker, and that can actually cause more hits to the hypothalamus. It can also cause seizures.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So no LED lights after 5 p.m.
I prefer no LEDs at all.
At all.
At all.
So because there's this whole movement of when I'm going to people's houses now, and of course I have 2 kids, and I see, and I'm like, oh, I love that, it's like candle lit,
Mm-hmm.
and now everyone's switching their bulbs to the red lights, or the, like you say, the amber glow. It's kind of like a yellowish orangey light. And sometimes we'll have our elders over, my in-laws, and they're like, I cannot see at all.
I have a remedy.
Okay, tell me.
Yes.
Tell me about this.
So there is a bulb called Chromolux, and it's from Sweden.
Chromolux.
And it's funny, when I just got back from California, and I literally have a suitcase of bulbs that I take with me because we can't even have incandescent bulbs in California anymore. However, Chromolux you're still able to get those into California and here. They're actually full spectrum bulbs. They're made from neodymium, which is they use it for lasers. And so it has all of the colors of the full spectrum, just like sunlight. And so I do use those at night if people have company, and I put them on dimmers so that
Okay.
they still offer a beautiful light source without overly blue light that can actually stop, the melatonin production. Incidentally, melatonin is what prevents the cytokine storm, and the cytokine storm is what happens when you have COVID. So it's like overproduction of fluid in the lungs.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, say that one more time for the people who don't understand how the cytokine process works with
So
inflammation.
melatonin is what can help stop the cytokine storm, heavy melatonin production. And so if you don't have that balance within your system, that's actually what happens with COVID. The lungs flood, with this bacteria.
Wow. Okay. So that's just one aspect of the bulbs. And now with all of the endocrine disruptors, and we're hearing about, no candle is a safe candle these days. Okay. And
I've got solutions.
you've
I've got solutions for everything. That's a good thing.
I love that you're here. Okay. So tell us about the candles in our home, because you're wearing you're wearing prana, which is, in Hindi or in
Air
Sanskrit.
element.
Air element, yes. And so in our homes, we tend to have a lot of incense and yeah, I know I've been reading about those. Brave Table fam, it's not healthy to have those incense in the house. Can you tell us why? And for those who have these rituals of candles that we burn for festivals and just to even have in our home, are you saying that we should go for the faux candles? What's your take on that?
Beeswax candles. So this is also the fire element, by the way. When I design around the elements of earth, air, fire, and water, this would be considered the fire element. Healthy circadian lighting is part of the fire element. Dirty electricity, which we can talk about in a bit, but this is also the fire element of the flaming candles. Can also be considered air because beeswax candles actually purify the air. So what happens is we have a lot of
air. Oh,
yes,
wow.
because they mimic the negative ions just like in ocean water. So the negative ions of the beeswax candles will attach to the positive ions of the dust and particulate matter in the air in the home, and that can cause it to drop and just disintegrate. So beeswax candles are actually super healthy for the home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you can, Amazon is controversial, but sometimes they do represent, companies, and there's a lot of companies on there that are smaller business that you can get that way. Coconut wax candles are also good for purifying the air. The problem with those is they're often mixed with soy, and they extract soy with hexane, and that's an endocrine disruptor. So you want to make sure you have pure coconut wax. They do burn really fast, but they hold essential oils well. And if you get certain essential oils in there, those also purify the air, like clove, cinnamon, eucalyptus. One of my favorite is called On Guard by Young Living Oils that actually helps with mold as well as thieves oil.
Okay.
So always good solutions. You have a salt lab behind you that is actually helping to purify the air. Good job.
All right. All right.
Because that's also the positive ions that will attract to the negative.
So
Or the negative attract to the positive.
So I want to kind of maybe pull ourselves back one step, because so you're designing homes, or you're going into people's homes, kind of assessing the elements of the of the home. So we talked about, the fire element. We'll talk about what you just shared in a second. But and then so we have fire and then earth. So tell us a little bit about kind of each of the elements and what we can how we can look at our homes differently when we're thinking about design.
Yes. And I do want to just say that some of these cross-pollinate, right?
Sure.
So like air, so this one can cross-pollinate with the air element. So just to recap, the fire element, I discussed like healthy fire as far as like healthy circadian lighting, EMF protection, dirty electricity, which is actually a big one because, we have all these different appliances and electronics that used to run on a DC, and now they have to be converted. And when that happens, it creates this pulses of electricity instead of a steady stream, and that accumulates, and that can cause an EMF buildup in the home. And so there's ways of mitigating that.
Oh, wow.
But I also want to get into the kind of the fun stuff. So then there's the yin and the yang aspect of the energetics and aesthetics of the fire element.
Okay.
So when we think of fire, we think of expansion and creativity and oranges and fire element. Like that could also, the salt lamp could be considered that. And, that's great for a creative space. It's great for an office space, but you might not want to have that really bright, intense energy in your home, or excuse me, your home bedroom. So you would consider the yin aspect of that, which is more of the internal creativity, the meditation, the reflection, and that would be offered with sunsets or burnished metal or lavender like you're wearing, or lotus points. So you're actually
What am I? Am I
you're
yin?
intuitively knowing that, you're helping me communicate internally a little bit and yourself just by being thoughtful with the process of interviewing by wearing that color.
Oh, for lavender. Okay. Okay. Because of the crown chakra, or is it because just of
The color itself.
the color itself?
But I would like to say crown chakra personally, because the bright, more indigo color
Yeah.
is how you receive messages from source, and that's how you can,
Channel.
integrate it into the body.
Okay.
So that's one. If you want me
Okay.
to go
Sure.
on.
Yes, please.
So the air element is just, it's really important, obviously, healthy air circulation in the home. I would say always try to keep fans on for a light breeze. It's difficult. It's more difficult in Texas because we have to have air conditioning. I used to give this presentation when I was living in California. I'd say, just keep your doors open so you have the cross breeze. Well, we don't have that luxury here as much. So important, like you already had us do, take the shoes off, because that brings in particulates in the air. And then plants also really purify the air. There's a whole list on NASA that will tell you all the different components. Bringing formaldehyde boxes from Amazon into your house is a no-no. Make sure you open those in the garage with an air purifier, because that natural formaldehyde can build up over time and get into our lungs.
Interesting. So open up Amazon boxes in the garage with an air purifier running.
Yes. So that could be considered an air element, because we want the healthiest air we can possibly have.
Right.
So I'm constantly running essential oils in my home. I use a nebulizing diffuser so it doesn't denature the oils. I keep salt lamps going. I spray the house with it's called it's the Kleenex term is Briotech. It's hypochlorous acid. It actually kills 99.999% of mold and fungus and bacteria. And you can just buy a fogger and put some essential oil in there that'll completely purify the air in the home. So
using this particular, and what is it called again?
It's called hypochlorous acid. You can actually, there's a company called Force of Nature. I need to reach out to them because I talk about them all the time. And you can actually make your own solution, and it's a cleaning solution for your entire home.
And this kills mold and
viruses. Bacteria.
Okay. Wow.
So even my mold professional in Los Angeles will spray it into the air ducts, every couple months.
Interesting.
Also changing your filters. People think, oh, I want to have that really strong MERV filter. That's a 12 because it's thicker and it's good for allergies. You actually don't want that. You want to have something like a level 8 and change it more frequently so the air can kind of permeate and move through.
So the typical time of people changing their air filters, like in their HVAC units, is like twice a year. You're saying you should do more than that?
Minimum every 3 months. In the summer, I would say even more, because it's humid here, so that accumulates mold outside. And it can, it's not black mold, but if you're chemically sensitive, and what I always say to people is it compounds over time. So if you got the formaldehyde, and then you've got the toxic cleaning products, and then you've got this and this and this, and then you're like, oh my God, I don't feel good. And it's just because it's been compounding over time. So the more that we can be mindful on a daily basis of these toxins that we can easily remedy, the better.
And do you have specific plants that you recommend for each area of the home for aesthetics? And, it's sounding like it's a little bit of Vastu and Feng Shui. Is that kind of your process as well?
Yes. And I actually am learning Vastu right now. I'm really learning, because Vastu is a practice with copper polymer that really helps mitigate EMFs.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just learning about that. I always tell everyone to get a Dracaena because they're the easiest. They're tall, they're inexpensive. They cover the toluene, they cover the formaldehyde, they even help with the microplastics.
And what is that?
And that's just a really tall plant, and
Dracaena.
It's called the Dracaena.
Dracaena. Okay,
yes,
Dracaena.
And there's a couple different, and those are just, you don't have to water them. Like, they're just really easy.
You don't have to water a Dracaena?
Once every 3 weeks or once a month. They're just really easy, low maintenance. They deal with all different types of lighting environments. I'm sure you've seen the spider plants. Those are really easy. So I was designing homes for a lot of bachelors in I know, I sound like these are the idiot proof ones. And I've gotten better.
I
You
need an
know?
idiot-proof one because
Yeah.
I think I've killed a lot of my plants in my
Yeah.
day.
And then what's also important is to remember that the soil can mold if you don't have the drip tray. So I always say put a drip tray inside the plants and then outside.
Inside and outside.
Mhm.
It doesn't look that good if you're having, you have this like great big vase or this vase and then you have this drip tray.
Well, you don't want the plastic ones. You can buy pots that actually have the ceramic partner with it.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just get those that actually look beautiful. And then what I do is I'll put rocks around them or add some moss and just make it, and add a candle. So I'll just make it part of the design.
Oh, okay.
And then you're combining the elements that way. And then, yeah, and then that brings that, I learned once, Julia Schulman, a very famous photographer, said, design and building was always, resolving the conflict between man and dwelling in nature. And I always like to shift it in the positive and say it harmonizes man dwelling in nature. So the more that we can bring nature into our home, leaves look like lungs for a reason. They actually help purify our lungs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, and then the air element, as far as aesthetics, it's the glass, it's like the really big windows, even the vases can help do that. The reflection, it represents fluidity and it represents a lot of thought. It's good for writing to have the air element. Yeah. So,
And what about the water element?
that's a big one. Our bodies are 70-80% water. So it's really important that we have the best water filtration that we possibly can have. The best drinking water that we possibly can have. And there's a lot of, controversy or thoughts like, is alkaline water good? Is spring water good? My personal choice is spring water. And I would say that there's a new company called Natural Action Technologies, and they actually have a filtration system that actually mimics the spin of actual spring water, so you can get that in your home.
Oh, wow.
And now people have invented wands that you can use to stir, and there's also sorts of wonderful things,
that you can create or mimic the filtration of spring water.
Yes.
And what about in your faucets and kind of in your bathtubs and things like that? How are you filtering out, or as a home?
Well, you want to get a whole filtration system if you can. If you're in an apartment and you can't afford it, you can get shower filters. Again, I recommend this company because a lot of the regular filters, it kind of ends up being inert and it doesn't help the filtration process once the water's heated. So you actually have to filter it either before the water's heated, or get one of these newer types of, because our skin is our biggest organ, right? Outside of our fascia. So we're still absorbing things into our skin. I'm always like, when people are doing these cold plunges, I'm like, and filling it up from a hose, I'm like, there's chloramine in there. And you're absorbing it. I mean, once in a while, we choose our battles. Like, if you're doing it once a month in a group setting with a bunch of people in a park, the joy that brings and the encouragement is better than like, oh, you better filter that, You
got to filter the cold plunge water.
Yeah. But if you have it in your home and you're constantly doing it, and you can also use essential oils in your water to help. Magnesium is really great. So all of that helps with the water element.
Interesting. And so, so you're saying to find the home health filtration, but if you can't, then there are specific filters that you could actually filter the water right at the faucet.
They have faucet attachments. It's a little tricky for bathtubs. I think they're coming out with one, but you can also just get under the sink attachments if you want to, plug and play, rather than if you can't afford the whole house filtration. And I would just say, do your best. I have clients that just use, they have the Berkey for their tea, and then they have the live spring water, or I really like Mountain Valley spring water because it runs over a quartz crystal bed, which is a really high frequency.
Okay.
And then they have a shower filter separate. So, you do what you can. And that's the thing. I always say, you got to meet people where they're at. Because if I go into their house and go, oh my God, this is so toxic, like, you're not going to change anything. And then you get analysis paralysis, right? So we take things slowly. We take what can you do now? What are your symptoms? What are you feeling? And then how do we activate the space energetically and aesthetically to bring out your highest vision of yourself?
Right.
Right.
Wow.
Like you just did this here in your podcast studio, you didn't just leave a boring backdrop. You wanted something that's expressive and beautiful. It represents the earth element. This represents the water element. This represents the air element.
Yes, and we were chatting about this beautiful background before you got here. But what else do you see like when you come into like in this studio space? For those of you who are watching this on YouTube, you can see Kristin kind of analyzing all of the elements that we have for this. But obviously we selected this because intuitively it was beautiful and it represented the Brave Table. And so would you add anything, or what are maybe the top 3 things that people should be kind of looking into when they're designing a space that you can recommend?
Well, I just want to compliment you on having a natural material behind your guest. This is nice. This represents the earth element, so it helps ground the guest, and it's a natural material, so it's organic and it's healthy. Because sometimes these chairs, they have off-gassing, but this one looks like it's actually I know this company, and they actually use recycled polyester.
Okay.
And so this one's actually a good one.
Okay. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Because some of these can have heavy metals in them. I know I heard you say about heavy metal toxicity.
Right.
One thing that I would add is here you've got air on air and water. I would probably do like a wooden coaster or something wood here to kind of ground that space. But this is actually really beautiful for a podcast studio because metal actually represents focus.
Okay.
So adding the metal with the glass is like for the intellectual capacity and for focus. And then if you just had like a wood, so it was just could kind of ground the space a little bit.
And so are you saying would metal be better than wood for a desk if you are trying to design a desk space or office space?
I like the combination, actually.
Oh, you do like the combination?
I had like metal legs with a wood top. I like to feel grounded. It just helps me focus. But the metal actually also is really good for focus. For example, if you look at like lib work lofts, that very neo-industrial look.
Okay, yeah.
That really is supposed to help with focus and creativity.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that neo-industrial, like steampunk look. Okay.
Yeah, and I actually have a photo. I give a presentation. I have a photo of a house in Nantucket, and it has a metal leg desk easel, and it is more transitional. So people think when they think of metal legs, they think, oh, this is only a contemporary or modern look, when actually there's a lot of traditional and transitional elements you can also incorporate. So you're not limited. These elements can cross across a lot of different design aesthetics.
And I want to kind of get into your work with helping people figure out and repair from mold. And how are you, take us through your process of kind of remediation, or, people feeling symptoms of it, or they're just feeling sick in their homes. What symptoms would they be displaying before they come and kind of reach out to you?
Oh my goodness. It's so tricky because it can show up differently in everyone. One of the biggest ones is brain fog and fatigue. And then, or a lot of people will have, I never had the nose stuff. People think, oh, if you don't have the nose stuff, then you don't have it, like the sneezing and the wheezing.
Yeah.
But I had the brain fog and the fatigue, and then I also had the hives. So that's generally precautionary. And I'm only as good as the people I work with. So I bring in the professionals, and I usually get someone that's a third party tester. So there's a lot of companies that will test for mold and also remediate. I don't do that. I get someone that just does the testing so that it's completely non-biased.
Right.
And then we bring in a remediator if we need to.
Oh,
and then we rebuild from there. If my health coaching isn't enough for them, then of course I have a team of functional medicine practitioners that I work with. But I've learned a lot through my own journey, fortunately and unfortunately. I sometimes will have people get genetic testing because there's certain genes that activate the mold reaction more than others. If they don't have the money to spend on that, then we just focus on the detoxification process. So lots of binders, getting out of the environment is really, really important. I mean, I've had clients that have had to just throw away everything, and that can be also a process, an emotional process. So it's also important that they're supported emotionally through this, because it's a really tragic thing. And unfortunately, mold can really hit the prefrontal cortex of the brain, which can really cause, rage, anger, really emotional instability. And then they think they're crazy. And I'm like, this is why, because it's hitting this prefrontal cortex. And so having that compassion for people, is really important, rather than like, oh, snap out of it, you'll be fine.
Right.
Which has happened to me. Like, people get very gaslit when they're dealing with health issues, especially when they're not visible. I've had so many people like, well, you can't see it. And if that's the problem with black mold, it's often behind the walls.
Right. And you're not going to see it unless you rip out those walls.
Yeah, unless you get the proper testing, you get people looking in the HVA system and yeah.
Wow. Okay. And I want to go back to kind of the dirty electricity and the EMFs because I think there's something to be said. I think a lot of us are being bombarded by all of these EMF kind of like protective ads and, get this device for this. And when you are, what is something that we can do even just today after listening to this or watching this that we can kind of sense to see like how we can maybe upgrade or help with the EMF in our home?
One of the most important things would be shungite. And there's like a company, I think, called Pure Shungite that has kind of the best quality. That's probably the best EMF protector you can get. There's a lot of people that have different discs, but there's a brand from Lithuania that's supposed to be really good. I actually have some in my purse right now.
Oh, wow.
And yes, we do have a
Shungite
lot
is
of. It's an actual stone from the earth. So for
it's a
me,
stone.
I
Okay.
like to use the most natural materials possible. And I have one by my computer. I have one, at home. One thing that I will say off the bat, just, one of those Christmas timers that you use at Christmas when the lights turn off, get your router on that immediately. So it's just shut off at night. The less exposure you have while you're asleep, because your sleep is the most important for regeneration. Right. And so, obviously we're always going to be around these apparatuses. So the most important thing is to build the immune system, is to build, that chi in our body so that the stuff can't hit us, because we're not going to be, like you said, it's always going to be at us. So that's going to be the most important thing. Now there's more and more fabrics coming out. There's EMF blocking paint. There's all these things. And I've also seen clients have more reaction to them. So it's really like a trial and error basis.
Oh, wow.
Because they used to have, I had a mat underneath my rug and I got worse from it. So it was a metal. So I reacted to that, whereas other people don't. So now they're coming out with better technology as we go. Like I said, that's why I'm learning the Vastu, because the copper polymer seems to be effective for everyone. And shungite seems to be effective for everyone.
Okay. And so in Vastu, they use copper for in the homes. Is that what?
Or they'll put it by the electricity box. There's a company called Greenwave that has a meter to measure dirty electricity. And then they just have plugs, and you just order 2 plugs and you put them on either side of the house. So it depends on how the age of the house and like how they've wired it too, and now more and more people are being a little bit more mindful about that.
Right.
So, and that helps.
Wow.
And I'm still learning so much about this too. But smart homes are not great for people that are chemically sensitive. Okay. So it's called MCS, multiple chemical sensitivity. And this happens when they've been chronic for a long time, and then the body just builds up, and then it's a perfect storm. So.
And so if somebody's watching this right now and they're like, okay, I feel like I have to detox. What are, because you were a health coach first, what are some of the things that they can do? I mean, we're getting the plants, we are changing our light bulbs, we are getting the shungite stones, but what can we also do in terms of, our own detoxification?
Yes, I would definitely say that getting the lymphatic, in Ayurveda, and I love Chinese medicine too, and I love Western medicine, but in Ayurveda, they call the lymphatic system the drains, right? So you have to make sure that those detox pathways are open. And then some people have what's called the MTHFR gene, so they don't methylate or detox as much. So then they need to add more like B vitamins. So it's a case by case basis that I would have to assess by speaking with a client. But definitely some of the things that I would recommend right off the gate, if you feel like have a toxic load, the easiest thing to do is sip hot water. No lemon, no tea, hot water.
Sip hot water.
Every half hour. It breaks up what's called the ama in the intestines, and that helps clear the drains. And I guarantee you will you will crave that water the next day. That shows that you're dehydrated. All of us are chronically dehydrated. So if anything, it's just water, 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 water. When you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. So the most important thing I would say is that lemon and ginger first thing in the morning. I would definitely do binders.
Mm-hmm.
So I like Takasumi Supreme. It's a bamboo charcoal,
Oh, okay.
and you take that away from all your other supplements.
Right.
And then if you need chelation, definitely adding glutathione in. And I would suggest more nanoglutathione, which is under the tongue. And then if you're really chronic, then you have to do the EDTA or you have to do some sort of IV. And that's not to scare people, but it just depends on how toxic they are. But definitely glutathione is what helps the liver. So you want to do anything that might, help
Support the liver
support
to
the liver.
remove all of the
Yeah.
detoxification.
So I'm always doing some sort of liver cleanse every month,
Every month.
every month.
Okay.
Even if it's 3 days or and I love coffee enemas, to be honest. They're
Yeah, can you tell us about coffee enemas? Because I've had my relationship with coffee enemas, and now that I have kids, there's you're well aware of keeping them clean as well. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, the green coffee actually has what's called palmaric acid. And the palmaric acid, when it's, introduced in the colon, helps produce the glutathione in the liver. So it's actually the most acute way of releasing larger quantities of glutathione naturally in the liver.
Naturally in the liver.
And it's also actually really helps with brain fog and depression too.
Oh, wow.
So the Gerson Institute, which is, that alternative cancer treatment school, they'll have their initial, critical care cancer patients do them sometimes 5 or 6 times a day.
A day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
If they're in, full-time care. Now, that's obviously when you're in a very acute situation. But, doing one once a week, once a month, the best you can do. I know when you have kids, it's really hard to do all that. And then the easiest way to do it would be do a saltwater flush first. That way you can actually hold it in.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Well, I want to bring this back too, because how do you actually process the physical environment that we have, and how does it actually affect kind of our emotional environment typically if it's not designed well?
Well, I always say your inner world reflects your outer world. So if your home is in chaos and disorganized and stuff everywhere, it's obviously not a great way to think clearly. So the first thing is, and I actually work with professional organizers. I'm okay, but that's not really my great skill set. So I love the Marie Kondo style. It's like if it doesn't bring you joy, let it go.
Yeah.
When you move, I always have someone with me because the energy of the memories of the things that you're packing, can bring up stuff. So I'm always really creating a sanctuary. And the first thing is, having good cord control, having good pathways, creating sacred spaces in your home, having just one place for meditation. It's like, kids, it's like go to that corner.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's like we need that safe space in our home. So just creating these different vignettes in your home and then trying to incorporate those elements as much as possible will activate an unconscious response. And so I'm sure you've gone into environments and just been like, it's so beautiful, but I also feel so calm in here. It's because all of this has been taken into consideration. And then I'm sure you've been in offices where it's just like the cubicles and the bright lights. And I don't know how anyone can be productive there.
Right.
When they're staring at those screens. And so I'd say, let's add some plants to your cubicle. Let's put blue blocking glasses, maybe white noise, because even the white noise, I think can actually, it's just an intuitive hit. I can't prove this scientifically, but when there's a lot of fluorescent lights cause depression.
Oh, okay.
So I just had this, intuitive hit that the white noise can help deflect. Even though one is sound and one is eyes, I feel that can help deflect some of the fluorescent lights because it is flickering and creating noise in your ear that you can't hear. It's kind of like a dog.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
Wow. And you've seen that it actually supports them in their productivity.
Yeah.
Interesting. What can we actually do for our bedroom if we have our partner or if we're calling in someone to make it more of a sanctuary?
That's a beautiful question. So when you walk in, the back right corner is your partnership corner.
Okay.
So you want to create an altar for that space. Mine, coincidentally, happens to be the nightstand of my partner. And so before I met him, I had one lamp on there. And I was like, well, that didn't really create space. So you want to make room if you're creating love, you know, you want to make room for that person. You want to have a nightstand with a few things to welcome them. You want to have the lamp. You want to have something. If you're a female, you want to have something more masculine there. If you're a male, you want to have something more feminine there. So there's a clear walkway. Like before I had a partner, I had a house and I would take all those beautiful decorative throw pillows and I would throw them on that side of the bed so that person couldn't enter.
Oh,
They couldn't even get in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so, and then I had a photo of a woman. I had a photo of a woman in a red dress turning her back, looking this way by herself. And I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
that's not a great symbol. So it's like, it's so funny that we just do it. And so then I had a beautiful painting I got on Etsy that was of a couple embracing.
And you put it in that corner, that relationship corner. Okay.
And I put another one by my side too. So I let go. I didn't have anything that had me by myself. I put that in my office or my degrees, and I put that stuff away.
Yeah.
I have crystals. I have it looking romantic. You know, I have a space. I actually had a book welcoming my partner.
Oh, wow.
So I would write to him like, oh, I can't wait to meet you. And then here's like, this is some of the things that we're going to do. And then also having, having space for that person in your closet.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah. And so these are energetics that really can help activate the house. I learned a little bit of that from Catherine Woodward Thomas. Did you ever read Calling It the Woman? Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she's actually a friend of mine. I've met her at several dinners. Yeah.
That's amazing. And so if someone's listening to this now and they are like, okay, I really want to know more about Kristin and how, she kind of goes into her whole process, what are the different kinds of ways that you work with clients?
So many. It's such a case-by-case basis because some people say, I need a full remodel. And some people say, I just need help with my bedroom. And I am always the person that says the answer is always yes until it's a no. Right? So I will always do a consultation with someone at no charge, whether it's a 15-minute discovery call to see if it's a fit, or if they really are looking for an interior designer, then we'll do a walkthrough and we'll do an initial assessment. Some people just hire me just to consult. So I actually have other designers that'll hire me for their clients just to consult just on the healthy home. So I try to make myself as available as possible because I'm really passionate about this mission and I've been chronically ill and I don't want anyone to go through what I've gone through. So I will do whatever it takes to make sure that everyone's home is activated. And so I am starting to do more courses. I'm starting to lecture more. But I want to make myself as available as possible.
Because you have such a window of and plethora of information. And it's so amazing because I think so many people, don't really know how to look at the elements in their home to really create that, beautiful balance and harmony that we see. And as we kind of, roll into our igniting round, what is the difference, or is there a difference between feng shui and vastu or some of the other energy balancing ways of designing your home? And what is your approach?
Oh, that's a really good question. Because I am not a specialist in any of them. I am like a kind of a pick and chooser, and I work with intuition and the person's guides to really assess which is the best for that person. If they, for example, want to design around a bagua, which is in feng shui, I will bring in a specialist to do that, and I will learn from them, and we'll do it together. Same thing, like I'm learning Vastu, but I'm learning, I want to learn it for EMFs. If they wanted to do their whole house in Vastu, then I would bring in a specialist. But for me, my personal process is doing the earth, air, fire, water, and metal. And I do it with the healthy home aspects first and foremost, just to make sure, because if your body is in imbalance, nothing's going to work. And then I add in the aesthetics and energetics of those elements. And that means the yin and the yang. And so that was considered my process. And then we take it from there. Again, I try to customize things. Some clients need more detoxification in their home. Some clients want to amplify their home, to bring out their highest selves. And we'll go through a process where I actually do a channeling and hidden areas of genius come through. Like there was one woman that, she wanted to be a musician when she was younger, and she was kind of told that, she was kind of called Phoebe from Friends. Like, they made fun of her, like, oh, you'll never be that. And that was really riding on her, and it came through in the reading. And so we created a music room for her just to start playing, and she's, is now doing sound healings. So, it really is the most important aspect of my job is not only to allow the person to heal the body, but really amplify the space so they can really bring out the highest vision of themselves.
Ooh, so well said. So well said.
Thank you.
Okay, as we get into our final round, where can people get a hold of you?
Thank you. My website is just kristinkilmer.com. So it's Kristin, because iPhone loves to autocorrect. And then my phone number is there. They can contact me there. My name is Kristin Kilmer in Instagram. They can DM me there. I am in the process of revamping everything right now. So just emailing me is probably the easiest, just KK@KristinKilmer, and everything will be up and running hopefully within the next 2 months.
And when is your book coming out? Because there's so much that I can envision that you can put into this playbook for people to design their homes and really understand how the elements can really affect.
I didn't tell you I was working on a book.
Oh, okay.
But I am.
Well, maybe it's the lavender. Yeah.
I am, and I want it to be a coffee table book. I want it to be beauty. I mean, I know that my life mission is to create inner and outer beauty more than anything. And so I am working on it, and it is going to be, some of it's actually my projects, and then I'm really excited because I'm actually, we have to keep up with the times. I've learned if you can't get out of it, get into it. So I'm taking a course on AI for interior designers, and it's so much fun.
Oh, wow.
It's like you get to just be whatever fantasy you want. And so I'm kind of bringing some of that in because that kind of activates the higher self as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And creating ritual. I heard you in the last interview talking about that ritual. And I think that it's so important to have places in your home where you can amplify those rituals and just have a place to go to. Like I have a chair I have a couple chairs in my house, and they're just for meditation, nothing else. I have one where I do just remote readings, and nothing else is in that chair besides those remote readings. And it's all set up as an altar for the clients to have that space. If they don't see the entire thing, it's just the energy's aligned for that.
Okay. So in our spilling the chai section, we have, so you can answer these as fast as you want, as slow as you want, as long as you want. Favorite air purifier?
The Austin Air. I like the IQ Air Pro too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Number one thing everyone should be either looking into in their homes or getting in their homes right now.
Chromolux light bulbs. Keep the Amazon boxes outside.
Okay. Oh, that was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Favorite plant, if you had to pick one that everyone should be getting in their house for the kitchen.
Favorite plant. Well, for the kitchen, I like basil.
Okay.
Basil. It's air purifying, but it also basil and cilantro, it also helps with heavy metal detox. And basil, if you chew it, also helps with depression.
Oh, wow. So just a basil plant or basil tree?
You can even buy them at Trader Joe's. They have organic basil plants, and they regenerate.
Even if you pick them off the... Really?
You just got to care for the soil. It's important to constantly change the soil, but you can also populate. What's it called? Not populate. What is that called? Propagate.
Propagate.
You can buy the hormone, and then you can, propagate them pretty easily.
Basil and cilantro in your house. My in-laws will be so happy.
Yeah, especially basil, because that grows fast, and you can use it for so many things.
Oh, I never thought of that. Okay.
Because you said kitchen. I like that you were specific.
Yes. Well, because bathroom. Well, what would you do in the bathroom?
I would do the ferns, because they love the moisture. Because you don't want plants to mold, so you want it to amplify. Because then you can add or sage. You can add the sage around and that offers that essential oil. The sage, and you breathe it in, and it's actually air purifying for your lungs too.
While you're showering. Okay. So sage and ferns. Got it. Eco-friendly must have recycled materials or energy efficient lighting.
Because I'm not a believer in energy efficient lighting.
Right.
I'm not, even though Chromalex is fine. I mean, it's not even that, it's controversial, right? It's not, you're not saving that much energy by using LEDs. I don't believe in LEDs at all.
At all.
No, I mean, like I said, like for this space, when you're filming, absolutely. Like it's a must, right? But they've now shown that even the non-flickering LEDs have flickering and they're even softer. And that is more of an attack on the hypothalamus. And they are over time causing seizures in some people. So, and again, the blue light is, it just really activates the hypothalamus. So it causes havoc. So I would
And on your
just say,
thyroid too, right? Yeah. Okay, if you could only use one color, what would it be? And which room is that color going to be so important?
I would say green.
You're wearing green.
Yeah, I would say green because it represents growth. It represents the heart chakra. It represents nature. It's got it's got the warm of the chartreuse is super sexy and bright and bold. And then you've got the really deep forest green, which can be more grounding. So you've got a lot of elements that you can actually cover with the green element.
And the abundance in green as well.
Girl, you're on it.
We're on it. Oh, look at me with my lavender.
I didn't realize how amplified she is.
This has been such a fun conversation.
It's been, thank you.
One word that describes the season of life.
Devotion. I mean, it really is, going within and that connection to source within. My personal belief is, yes, I believe in Jesus and yes, I believe in God, but I also believe the Christ consciousness and the God element is within each and every one of us. And it is our birthright. My coach says it's selfish of you to not bring your service to the world. It's actually selfish because we all have our God self that is ready to be amplified. And we can do this, by optimizing our health and our homes.
Wow. And you do this so well. I'm so excited for your book. I think even when I met you and we were just like off in the corner talking about all of our things, and I'm so grateful that you were able to pour into our community in the full intersection of design, holistic health, design health, and all of the things that we may take for granted in our everyday. So thank you for bringing that in such a beautiful bow. And I'm so excited for what's going to be next for you on the horizon.
Thank you. It's been such an honor. I'm really grateful that you chose me to come here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, welcome back to the other side. Now, if you are as nerding out as I am, I'm going to list everything that Kristin talked about, from the Chromalex bulbs to the cleaner that she had recommended. I'm going to put it all in the show notes. I'm also going to, if you're curious about working with her, because I think she is such a prowess and a priestess when it comes to home design and also all of the elements and how it actually can uplift our lives in so many ways. KristinKilmer.com, and I will put that in the show notes. And you can actually follow her. Go ahead, follow her and see all of her behind the scenes and her coming out of the spiritual closet more and more. You can go to Kristin Kilmer. That's Kristin Kilmer. And I'm also linking that in the show notes. If you are curious to really brave your health in this season and are asking different questions about what else can I do for my health, I've listed 3 additional episodes that I think are going to be so juicy and so expansive for your next iteration and what you are braving around health, around choices, around what we can do for our bodies. And if you haven't already, and if you love this episode and you think somebody else could use this information, please go ahead, share this episode, send them the YouTube link. You can tag us on the Brave Table and at Neeta Bhushan. What were some of the parts that you were like, oh, wow, I did not know that. I had no idea. She totally expanded my field, my horizon, my perspective. Send this to a friend, a family member. And if you are watching this on YouTube and this gave you value, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It makes us grow the show more than you know and helps us get into the hands of more people that need to be more brave. So thank you so, so much for tuning in. And until next time on the Brave Table. You know I've got so much more in store for you. So if you are really ready to dive in and keep owning your emotions like the boss that you are, click right here. Go ahead, don't be shy. I'll see you in the next one. Keep shining.